To begin the difficult and the daunting process of trying to select inductees for tonight. Nearly 100 nominees were submitted online. Think about that. Nearly 100 nominees submitted online, celebrating all 73 years of athletics. So this inaugural class was selected, and the top 10 will be inducted here tonight. What a challenge for our committee to narrow down to 10. But I think we can all agree that the committee has certainly gotten it right. Each class going forward after tonight will only honor up to 5 inductees, but for the inaugural, we're at 10. Our committee members who were faced with this challenge, I'd like to introduce them, and if they're here tonight, would you please stand as your name is called and be recognized. We'll recognize all of our committee members at the end. So our former athletic director, Anthony Wise, was one that kind of got this ball rolling. Our current co-athletic directors, Jay Wright and Andy Foster. The legendary and now retired Brendan Burchard. Longtime area basketball coach Ron Schultz. Please stand, please stand, please stand. Stay standing. Our Bishop Heelan alum and baseball great Don Wingert. Bishop Heelan teacher Carla Johnson, Bishop Heelan baseball coach Andy Osborne, the wonderful and great Pat Collins, BHCS alum and longtime supporter John Tritz, and BHCS alum and great supporter Katie Loris. Would all those folks please stand and be recognized at this time for their work? Thank you. So we'll begin with number 1. He's commonly thought of as the first great Bishop Heelan athlete. It is fitting that Ray Lemek is the first inductee into the Hall of Pride. This 1952 graduate was only beginning his athletic journey when he left the halls of Heelan High. From Sioux City, he ventured on to South Bend, Indiana, and the University of Notre Dame, where he was a member of the Irish football team. He made an indelible mark there as well, culminating in 1955 when he was unanimously voted team captain of the 8-2 Irish. The NFL would soon come calling as he was selected in the 19th round by the Washington Redskins. He would go on to a 10-year career in the NFL with the Redskins and the Pittsburgh Steelers, which included a selection to the 1961 National Football League Pro Bowl. Following his playing career, Ray was inducted into the Iowa High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame in 1986. In 2005, Ray passed away at the age of 71. Presenting Ray Lemek tonight on our screens is former Heelan football coach and teacher and resident Heelan historian, Brendan Burchard.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brendan Burchard, and tonight it is my distinct privilege and honor to announce as an inductee into the Bishop Heelan Hall of Pride, Ray Lemek. Ray preceded me, graduating in 1952. So I never really personally knew Ray. Certainly knew of his accomplishments as a great crusader. He was a multi-sport athlete at Bishop Heelan, 4 sports to be exact: football, basketball, track, and baseball. He was awarded 8 major awards in those 4 sports, which is an accomplishment in itself. His head football coach was a guy by the name of Ed Semenich. Ed Semenich was a fullback at the University of Notre Dame in the mid to late 1930s. And so he certainly would have realized talent when he saw it. And he saw that talent in Ray Lemek. Now, to find out a little bit about Ray and his days at Heelan, I turned to a great crusader himself, Bernie Schreiber. And Bernie was a year ahead of Ray. But he told me that in baseball, for example, that Ray threw 2 no-hitters. So while he was this outstanding football player, he was a very well-versed athlete in other sports. He said, Bernie did, and speaking of Ray, that when he would, Ray wasn't the great ball handler, but he would give the ball to Bernie, and I suspect that Ray cleared the boards probably with the best of them. So, Ed Semenich saw his talents, made those at the University of Notre Dame aware of them, and he will be recruited to play football for them, full scholarship. And we are told that freshmen didn't play varsity ball in those days, but in his very first game of his sophomore year, he played about 31 minutes and played in every game after that until it was actually the next to last game of his junior year at Notre Dame. They were playing Southern California, and Ray suffered a knee injury. And it was bad enough that he didn't know what the future would hold. So he will go into that, missed his spring training, he will go into his senior season, he will be elected team captain, and he will lead the Irish to an 8-2 record that year. After graduation, he took a year off to, today we would call it, rehab his knee. And then in 1956, he was drafted by the Washington Redskins. And he played for them for, I think, 5 years or so. He will play in the Pro Bowl in 1961 and then be traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he will finish out his career as an offensive lineman. And he will retire from the Steelers in 1966. He will go on to a long career in business. Ray will pass away in 2005 in Reedfield, Maine. And the funeral was there, the mass and everything, but he wasn't buried there in Maine. He was going to be buried on the campus at the University of Notre Dame, Holy Cross Cemetery. So, we don't see athletes quite like Ray Lemek anymore, and so I would like to tell you it is an honor and a privilege to present Ray Lemek for enshrinement in the Bishop Heelan Hall of Pride.
Accepting tonight on behalf of Ray Lemek is his nephew, Bob Cool. Bob, would you please come up?
Just wanted to thank Brendan for doing that video. Brendan, where you at? Got to talk with Brendan a few times here recently in the past month. Met his wife a couple days ago, and we really appreciate you doing that video for Ray. So thank you very much. I also wanted to congratulate all the inductees that are here tonight. I met a few of you last night at the game, and it was a very honor to be there to celebrate the halftime festivities, and also see a few that I had known from the past. John, who I don't know if he remembered me last night, but I had bought my first car from John Hardy. So, and it did last John a couple years, so yeah. And Don, who I got to sit with for a little bit last night, graduated with his brother Billy. So it was nice to sit with him and a few of his friends over there. But in 1992, the greatest basketball team was ever assembled in the world. And that was in Barcelona. For those of you that we have, I know we have some great basketball inductees in here. So in 92, Barcelona was the dream team. And I think last night, down there at the stadium at halftime, I think we had the dream team introduced again. So those festivities down there and the individuals at the game that got inducted, I would consider them the dream team. And I know that Mr. LaFleur is in here. I have not met him yet, so hopefully I'll get to talk to you a little bit, Coach, after this. But certainly these students that were playing last night in the team certainly gave it their all effort. And that even though that score didn't end up the way that we wanted it to be, I guess we just remind them that the tradition never dies. I wanted to thank the Hall of Fame committee. I met a lot of you up at the school here in the last few months. Mr. Osborne, Tom Betts, Jay Wright, and again, Brendan. Wanted to give an extra shout out to all of you for helping us schedule these events. I know I made a few visits up there to the office, and some of those secretaries that helped, they were very cordial in helping me and my family with whatever we needed to get set up for the event. So I thank you for that again. On behalf of my Aunt Mary, Mary Lemek, which her maiden name was Rohr, and she graduated a year behind Ray. So they both got married after they graduated, and they got married out at Notre Dame. There's a log cabin out at the campus there if you've ever been there, and they got married in that log cabin. And my mother and father were stood up for them, which would be Walton, Bernadine Cool. And they stood up for him at the wedding. And like Mr. Flannery said, that's where Ray's buried out there, and his wife will be also buried there. Mary lives in Ohio right now, and their two daughters, Carrie and Peggy, sent their gratitude for honoring their dad. Just a little bit about Ray besides. I know Mr. Flannery showed the video of Brendan and gave a little bit of background. Just wanted to let you know about a little bit in his early years and where he grew up at in town. I know that the Polish eyes are smiling up on the hill right now. The hill out in Morningside, where Ray went to grade school there at St. Francis, which was probably about 99.9% Polish, I'm guessing. And then he also attended St. Francis Church, which was about the same. And as I was growing up, with the Ostrahamskis and the Sokolowskis, there wasn't much else up on the hill. So if you had SKI behind your name, you were meant to be there. As Ray went on to Notre Dame, there was another gentleman that was being honored tonight that I got to meet a little bit more after Ray had retired. He used to go back to a lot of games. And Mike Corey, I know, is being honored tonight. And I was out at a game back in 1980 that Mike was playing in. The actual starter went down, and Mike got his number called to come into the game. Back in 1980, they were playing Purdue. And I have to give you a background about the game so that the story will make sense. But Mike got in. Notre Dame won 31-10. So after the game, the tailgate party had a lot of Sioux City people around. And Mr. Corey Senior and the mom were over at my uncle's tailgate. It was the first game that they attended. And as he was introduced, the parents were introduced to my Uncle Ray, and the game was over, of course, and Mike Corey Sr. and met my uncle, and he said, gosh, I would give anything to be with my son right now. And he goes, I wish I could be there with him right now. And so Ray said, well, let's go see him. And he looked at my dad and he said, all right, well, let's, you and Bob and Mike Corey Sr., let's go find Mike. So we walked over to the locker room door, and you can imagine after a 31-10 victory that there's quite a few people outside of the locker room door. So we did make it up to the front. There was a line coach there named George Allen. He got Ray in, and we got Mr. Corey in. And as we got inside the door, I can remember that Mike was being interviewed by CBS. And so we were kind of waiting back for that to kind of break up. And Mr. Corey was so excited, he just kind of walked in the middle of it. So, but that was the type of guy that Ray was. So he took time to get him in there, and you can't believe the excitement that Mike Corey Sr. had to be there with his son. So, and of course I was a little bit excited too, because my dad said, you better get your program going. You better get your program and pin going around, because you're going to have a lot of work in here. And so that was a great thing that I got to witness at an early age. Not going to throw a lot of stats out there about Heelan, about Ray, because it speaks for himself. But I just wanted to thank everybody that was inducted tonight, because it is certainly an honor to be here with you, and all the accomplishments that you will hear after I leave, and they all come up. So it is a great start to the dream team of the Hall of Pride. And once again, tradition never dies. Thank you.